Hey, we're back with more TwoSun Tuesday, and today I have one that I'm actually fairly happy and impressed with, even though I do think that quite a few people in the TwoSun community are probably going to dismiss it because it's much more of a budget model. But here we go. This one has the highest standard folding knife model number that we've had so far. This is well, I don't even have it labeled yet. This is TS501. This is TS501-B, even though this is what they end up calling a gray G10. The model number does basically confirm that, yes, this is more of the blue-gray. They also do have this in green, which is a little bit more normal for this particular designer in quite a few of their other ventures. This, as we can see on the pocket clip, which is his signature place to put things, this is a David Chen design. He has done some knives with Y-Start, most of which haven't really looked super interesting to me. He's done some for petrified fish, including the Scout and the PF818, which I might or might not actually have a real name to go along with it. But there we go. This one, to me, makes me really, really happy. This has this really nice sheep's foot blade profile going on here. Really reminds me of the fixed blade sheep's foot that TwoSun did, even though that was from a different designer, Jipo, another Chinese gentleman. But yes, there's some interesting things going on here. We got G10 for the handles, two-tone finish, as I said. The green is a little bit more in line, especially with all the stuff that he's done with Y-Start in the past. But yeah, something that really did impress me right out of the box, blade stock thickness. Might look a little thick or something here. This is actually quite a bit thinner than TwoSun ends up doing most of the time. I measured this at 2.9 millimeters. To put that in perspective, most TwoSuns average 3.8 to 4 millimeters. So this is much more in that Civivi and Kaiser kind of realm of thin. And because it's a full flat grind, this thing has some nice blade geometry going on here. I have, reprofiled it a little bit to have a 17-degree angle, but it really didn't take much off of the edge there because it was quite nice and thin to begin with. This does have essentially their normal folded over clip. It is a budget model, so there you go with that. Of course, this one has the difference there of having David Chen's signature on it, which means that if you lose this one and you need to replace it, you can, but you'll probably lose that unless you, I don't know, maybe contact TwoSun or something like that through possibly eBay or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But overall, it's got their nice standard pivot collar on there. One that you can, I suppose, use the actual little tool for, which I got from White Mountain Knives. I don't think these things were officially made from TwoSun, or made by TwoSun, or provided by, or whatnot, because I've never seen them available for sale through eBay or any of that sort of stuff, which is kind of had been their official channel forever and ever. But there you go. It is a newer design there though, so this does have a D-shaped pivot to it, and it is on the show side rather than the lock bar side, so a little bit easier to put everything back together. Let's see, we have a fairly gentle plunge grind going on here. It does end fairly close to the blade, but still fairly far away. As you can see, I'm only just barely starting to get a smile there, and that's mostly because it's just a little bit thicker at the very end there, as I've seen from tons of different companies, because a lot of the knife sharpeners there don't really want to focus a whole lot of time on those particular sections because something like that can happen. But there you go. Amazing action on this thing, which is great. It doesn't have bearing races on there. It's just riding on the liners. But hey, that's what you get with a lot of budget-oriented knives there. We do have a flipper tab that does angle up a little bit, which generally I'm not the hugest fan of. This one does seem to interact with my index finger a little bit less than some other knives do, though. So that ends up not being all that bad of an issue for me here. Fairly neutral handle. We got that little notch there, so the pinky ends up working out. And this one kind of seems like it was designed like the designer knew what the pocket clip was going to be beforehand and actually worked some ergonomics around it, because it doesn't bother me on the hand at all, even though it seems like it probably would. We got some nice jimping right up here. Maybe not the sharpest. I might have wanted it to be just a little bit deeper, but hey, I do have cutting blades with on a Dremel, so I guess if I wanted to make them a little bit more aggressive, I could do that on my own. D2, of course. There you go. There's all of that. These G10 slabs are fused, so it's not two different pieces that are meshed or connected together or something like that. Well, that's fine. I'd much prefer it that way anyway. We have really, really nice amount of lock bar access there. And right when that ends up interacting with your thumb, you're over the detent. So really, really easy to close this guy up. Just a really, really good sheep's foot implementation, I think. We got a decent amount of neutrality in the handle here, but we do have a little bit of a swell towards the back before we get that notch there. G10 backspacer on the back there. Nothing super duper special there. But yeah, there are a few kind of budget oriented knives from TwoSun that people have really waxed and waned about for years. And I figured I'd pull out a couple of them here. There's this guy, it's the 127. This is the Dash Crude. That's basically having to do with just the milling thing that they've done on the G10 there. And let's see, we also have the TS501 and the 89. Let's see, which is interesting because all three of these are from Wong. There's also the 129, but that's not a budget model. It's just one of their more popular ones overall. And we can see it's fairly large in that particular way. A bit more, I guess, plain looking than, obviously the orange and white ones here are concerned, but still very, very usable. The only thing I would say I do prefer a little bit here with the 127 is the slight distal taper that we end up having on the blade, where we can see it thins out getting up to the tip. That makes the tip just a little bit weaker, but really ends up having much more slicey characteristics up towards the top half than the bottom. But it's a lot more difficult to pull off manufacturing-wise, which is why a lot of companies don't do it. Spyderco does it on quite a few models, but yeah, there's that. And Wong has done it on a couple. This is one of them, and the TS286 is another one, but I don't have that one right in front of me, so there we go. I should also, I suppose, point out just randomly, because I had it out here, is the TS501. Also had a little bit more fancier version of it, so I would figured I would pull that out there. This was actually a recent production, so you can. It doesn't actually have the number printed on the blade on this one, but this one was a little bit newer. Maybe they wanted to keep the same kind of aesthetics going on there. This one has the shredded carbon fiber, but they also had a bone inlay sometime in the past. Interesting pocket clip with a ceramic ball on there, which, inlet, as long as it remains in there, it ends up working out quite well for it. But alrighty, yeah, enough show and tell of models that really aren't super important to this particular thing here. So I did cover that we have a thinner blade stock here, 2.9 millimeters, so that's great. Not incredibly light. It's kind of average, 4.54 ounces, or 128.5 grams. It does have a little bit of skeletonization going on in the scales, or at least the show side, not necessarily the lock bar side. But they're fairly small holes, so it doesn't reduce the actual weight by a very, very significant amount. So I suppose keep that in mind there. As you can see, with the comparison with the other budget guys, fairly large blade on this guy, 3.72 inches. You can really get a lot of reach going on with this thing here. That is 94.5 millimeters. And the blade, or the handle thickness here, a little bit thicker than you would end up getting on some more average ones. It's 0.58 inches here, or 14.8. But really nice and contoured, so it gives you a little bit more hand-filling grip. Doesn't quite feel just like a flat slab scale or something like that. So, yeah, I just really excited that we do actually have another really, really nice budget knife from them that I do hope ends up going over quite well. There has been a couple other budget offerings that they've done, kind of some collaborations with Y-Start and Jan Janadu or YX Designs, but as far as my opinion goes, they were kind of weird and didn't really feel kind of up to snuff or really super comfortable or whatever. Whereas this one kind of does, so excited to see that. But alrighty, how about if we do some blade size comparisons with some other knives here? There's the Manix 2XL. It is a beast, so it's not quite that large. But as far as the PM2 here, a little bit longer in the blade reach category, and a little bit shorter in the handle size there. So it's a fairly large knife. So there we go with the Endura, and some Spydercos here. We got the bug out, as well as the 940. Like I've said a few times, I do have a Benchmade Griptilian along the way for a little bit more blade size comparison things, but it ain't here yet. So, yeah, I will have to continue to wait for that thing to happen there. Let's see. I do have at least one other knife that I wanted to pull out here. I put it away like a responsible adult. It's the Rat number 1. So there we go, about the same overall blade length on there, and about the same amounts of, I guess, cutting, but you do have a little bit more there with the very gradual drop point that we got going on there, and a little bit shorter in the handle. So, yeah, I am super excited about this guy. I do kind of wish that TwoSun in general, with their folded clips, would try to use a little bit more flush screws or something like that than the button things here. I really haven't had too many problems with them going in to pants pocket materials, but I still do like to see that in general. But alrighty, there we are with the standard review. I think I've covered basically everything that I wanted to cover here with it. Oh, yeah, no snaggletooth here, especially with it having a thinner blade stock, much more difficult for you to actually get a finger in there. So we're all good there. But alrighty, for the rest of us, we're going to go ahead and take a look a little bit closer on the inside here. Not something incredibly exciting going on the inside, but might as well do it because, well, I enjoy taking these things apart anyway, and at least some of y'all enjoy coming along for the ride, so let's go. Let's see, I ended up putting a little bit of Loctite on this guy when I took him apart the first time. This is also why there's probably a little bit of extra lubrication going on in here. But move the pivot out of the way just a little tiny bit. We have an additional pin on here that's hidden, so there you go. It's not just, well, it wouldn't have made sense if it was just attached there at the end to this. That back spacer would flop away in the breeze. All right, well, we're just going to go ahead and go ham on this a little bit. Mostly because that post there on the end is making things just a little tiny bit difficult by holding on to these liners. There we go. So yeah, nothing going on here. This is a fairly shiny, finished kind of liner here, which it's a little bit different than the liners that they've done in the past that generally don't have that polished nature to it. But it ends out working out pretty well, especially for the action on this one in particular here. You can see there's the D-shaped pivot on the show side, so yep, really nice and easy to deal with there. And then we got the lock or the stop pin there, which actually uses the G10 scales to stop it from moving laterally through there, which is just a little bit different than how they do it on a lot of others, but at least it's not causing any of the side-to-side force to actually push against the G10 there. So we don't really have a durability issue or anything going on there. No detent ramp or anything there, but like I said, by the time that flipper tab actually reaches your thumb, you're over it, so you don't really need that. So yeah, it's all sorts of good. Really, really simple construction, but ends up working out quite well. Especially if, that little stupid pen there actually lets you fully take it apart without having too many other problems going on with it. So there's that, and I will toss. There we go. Put that guy back in there. That guy in there. And that one. And from here we can just slap this guy on here. Make sure everything actually sits down there flush. All good. Here's a little bit of wrist cam in case you've missed that. And yeah, no problems getting the rest of this back on here. It's stuck to the T6. Which I don't even need for the disassembly, so it was just in my way. Oh well. Do kind of wish that we could reverse the pocket clip on there, but hey, what are you gonna do? It's kind of TwoSun's, and I guess most of their designers kind of hold designs of screw lefties. So it is what it is, but still pretty darn nice knife, especially for the price. These things are not expensive. I want to say, since I don't remember exactly, this was somewhere in the 50s of dollars. I don't think it was up to 60 or something like that. So pretty darn nice for a budget knife, and still a little bit better built than quite a few other kind of budget oriented knife companies and stuff like that, like Free Tiger and things like that. So alrighty, cool. That is the TS501. Also not quite denim micarta, but it would have been kind of interesting just for that, for the Levi's reference. But alrighty, whatever. That's everything I got to cover with it. So as always, geez, I'm apparently spitting everywhere. Sorry about all of that. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe, please.